respect, gets a lot of been reaching out in the comment section.
Good morning, my name is Matt Quinn. I'm the Deputy Director at Secret Service. I'm joined by Chief of Secret Service Police Richard McCauley, and Assistant Chief Secret Service Police Andrew Ackley. Happy to take any of your questions on this shooting this morning or any other subjects. We're here to support MPD. We're very close to our Foreign Missions branch. Many people don't realize that one of Secret Service's missions is to patrol our foreign diplomats, foreign dignitaries here in the region. The unit's called Foreign Missions, so we are patrolling this area along with MPD all the time.
Did you talk to the FBI announcing that reported
Yeah, I will. I'll tell you a phrase I learned early in my career in the New York field office, and that's don't choke on your own smoke. Anyone that believes that case was worked in a bubble is naive. I'll tell you the Secret Service led that investigation from the beginning. I'll tell you that it's ongoing. In order to maintain the integrity of the investigation and the security plan, we chose not to leak it.
What do you think was being planned, and how serious a threat do you think this was, the UFC?
Look, it was a serious threat. We take all threats of a large nature very seriously, and we investigate them until we can validate 100% that it's no longer a threat. It was an active plot, and it's ongoing.
Can you talk a little bit more about what they were planning?
They were planning to attack the Freedom 250. Some of what you read this morning's accurate. I'm not going to get into too many details because, like I said, this is still an active, ongoing investigation. Just because we're done with Freedom 250 or that particular event doesn't mean we're going to stop. There are still suspects at large, and we're going to work it until everyone's been identified.
fine if they would have uranium mines.
That is not something we have seen in this town before.
Enhance that
How do you
uranium
talk about this plot, what they were planning,
and
and how
enrich
it
it.
was unique?
I'd say it was unique due to the numbers involved, the level of planning involved. Thankfully, our advanced threat interdiction unit got on top of it very early, involved partners. You know, working these cases is a whole of government. They don't happen in a bubble. But it was an active plot, yes, involving purported claim to be planned to use drones, snipers, etc. I'm not going to comment on how many involved because, like I said, it still is an active investigation. I will tell you that we've seen a significant increase in threat cases. We're up 40% this year in threat cases.
So you say it's an active plot. How realistic is it that they can carry it out?
I'm not going to comment on reality or realism of being able to carry it out. What I'll tell you is we're going to take every threat on its face. If you say you're going to do it, we're going to believe you until we can prove otherwise.
Was there ever consideration or talk about canceling the event as a result of this plot?
No, you may have noticed, or the city may have noticed, some pretty extreme security measures, road closures that were maybe more than normal. Those were largely due to our great partners at MPD and the mayor's office that we have to work with in order to execute the overall security plan. We did a lot, and we're 100% confident that we knew locations, level of planning, level of response. The event itself, I am confident in saying, was never at risk due to the great investigative work.
Was it tips or technology? I mean, what brought you to this?
A little bit of everything.
Any materials, equipment that they confiscated?
I'm going to hold on that and just say yes.
Details you can release about these individuals who were plotting this?
Not at this time. I want to maintain the integrity of the investigation, and we will put it out at the right time.
You mentioned that your department chose not to leak this. What do you mean by that, and how upset are you that Castle Health leaked this out?
I'm not going to comment on who or what. I'm going to tell you that we, the Secret Service, made a conscious decision to maintain the integrity of the security plan and the ongoing investigation.
You said something about snipers. Can you elaborate on that? So this was drones and snipers?
Oh, and other techniques that they were plotting to attack the event. Again, the event was never at risk, period. Enough time to make sure we could guarantee the event was safe. Not quite that much. One more. Hold on that one second. I'm sorry. There have been arrests. Not going to comment on charges or numbers. Last one. Last one right here. Look, the men and women in the Secret Service are tremendous every single day. You all know the level of incidents we've had in this city and around the country in the last 12 to 48 months. They're doing tremendous work. They're working day and night. I can assure you many of them did not sleep until the early mornings of yesterday and are back at it again today. They're doing great work. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Chevy drivers need a truck that shows up the same way they do. That's why Chevy Silverado is #1 in manufacturer loyalty, so they can go where others won't. Family and friends. It started out with him flying an airplane. He took off out of Bartow, and his friend took off in a separate plane out of Lakeland, and they were going to meet up here in the countryside north of Lakeland and fly formations, and that's what they were doing. At about 6 minutes to 8 this evening, we received a 911 call in our communications center of a plane crash, and immediately fire rescue and the sheriff's office responded. Firefighters arrived within about 5 minutes and were able to make their way to the aircraft. Now, the aircraft is located in a cow pasture and woods about a mile west of the Moore Road and about 3.5 miles north of the Old Polk City Road. We've talked to the one pilot, and he said he looked down when he saw his partner had disappeared just in time to see the plane apparently come apart, and it immediately crashed straight down into the ground. And when we all arrived, that's exactly what we found. This case is under investigation by the sheriff's office. We'll do the death investigation. We've notified FAA and NTSB, which will do the crash investigation. We're not releasing any more information tonight because certainly we won't.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Would you join me as I offer this prayer? Eternal God, Sovereign Lord, we gather in grateful celebration for these outstanding members of the Pentagon Force Protection Agency. I thank you for their steadfast dedication, faithful service, and acts of courage, seen and unseen. Bless each awardee along with their colleagues, mentors, families, and loved ones, whose support in you sustains them in times of both joy and sorrow. Instill in them a continued commitment to integrity and excellence. Inspire all members of PFPA with your spirit that they may bring safety in the face of peril, forge order from disorder, and stand as a calming presence even in the midst of chaos. Protect them from harm as they stand watch. Grant all of us discernment in these unpredictable times. Hold us in your power, the power of your infinite love. In the name of the one who perfectly embodies justice and compassion, I pray. Amen. Please be seated.
And we will release more information tomorrow.
Today we will
And as
recognize
I always
PFPA's
say, when we talk very soon after a major event, all of this is subject to modification as the investigation goes on. But it is just a tragic evening. It started out as a fun time with a couple of young men that were going to fly formations in their airplanes. This airplane is a single-seater. It's reported to be able to cruise at about 200 miles an hour. It is an experimental aircraft, and that's how it's classified. But they tell me that it's a low-wing kit experimental aircraft. Are there any information or any questions about any further information? I've pretty well told you everything that we know at this point in the investigation.
Is that going to give any difficulty to your investigation at all?
Today I can disclose to you further
No,
actions
it
by
will not
federal
create
law
any
enforcement
problems. In
and
fact,
combatant
what you'll see tomorrow if
Vice
you put
President
helicopters
Trump
up,
issued
you will
national
see an
security
area
presidential memorandum
that is
set,
predominantly a cow
which
pasture
directed the Department
with
of Justice to
pine
prioritize
trees
politically
and
motivated
some
violence.
woods. But it
To
appears
accomplish that
at
mission,
this
the
early
Deputy
phase of the
Attorney General
investigation, for
stood
whatever
up Joint
reason,
Task Force
and once
Vanguard
again, the information I relate to you
enforce
is
a
from the
national
other
security
pilot. He
strategy
saw the plane
to
come
investigate,
apart or a piece
prosecute,
come
and
off of the
disrupt
plane, and
those
it
who
immediately
engage in
dropped
political
straight
violence
down between
and
the pine
intimidation.
trees. Our
Today,
crime
a
scenes
federal indictment was
on board
unsealed,
tonight,
charging
as well as
15
our
defendants
homicide team
with
working
conspiracy
in
to
preliminary
recruit or injure
investigation.
federal officers and other charges
practice going wrong.
related to efforts of
Well,
two
it's a
Minneapolis-based
very sad event. You know,
Antifa
there's
groups
nothing
that
more
violently
exhilarating
opposed
than
the
getting with your
enforcement of
buddies and
federal law
flying in
in
your
state.
aircraft. And we
The
don't have
defendants
any
are members and
details other
associates
than they
of
were
Direct
going to
Action
meet up here,
Minnesota.
one taking off from Lakeland and one from
They are
Bartow,
charged
to fly
with
formations out in the countryside. And it's a beautiful
conspiracy
country. It
to
was a
impede
beautiful
or injure a
afternoon to
federal
do that.
officer,
Unfortunately, it
solicitation to commit a
ended in
crime of
horrible
violence,
tragedy.
interstate threats,
Thank you very
interstate
much.
stalking, assaulting a
Ah,
federal
the sweet
officer,
sound of selling and earning on
and
vintage.
destruction of government property.
Don't wear it, sell it.
So how does this work? My son's assistant being here.
Earlier
Will you
this
be sitting
morning,
beside me at the funeral?
agents of
Well, no, you're
Homeland
doing everything
Security
else for Tyler. Why can't you
investigations
be my son on the day?
conducted a coordinated
I emptied your
law
dishwasher
enforcement
and I made
operation
some coffee. I couldn't help myself. I kind of get off on this stuff, and I instantly
of the
regret
15
saying get off.
One
Chose
defendant
to
had
stay
already been in custody on other federal charges. Two defendants remain fugitives at large. Today's charges and arrests reflect a broad federal effort.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to update you about a shooting that occurred just prior to 6:40 this morning.
Law enforcement
And here's how it all began.
endanger the very communities
Two couples,
that these
4 people,
defendants falsely
went out for
claim
the
to
evening.
be protecting. Be assured, the Department of Justice and my U.S. Attorney's Office has and will distinguish between lawful protest and criminal conduct. These defendants have been charged not for what they said, but for what they did. They all joined an agreement, a conspiracy, to interfere with lawful immigration enforcement operations. The conspiracy was not to interfere by their voice, but to do it by force. That's a crime, and it will not be tolerated.
You want to give more strategically, but
Direct Action Minnesota emphasizes their violent, militant approach to politics and are highly critical of nonviolent, peaceful protests. You see here a Facebook post from one of the defendants, Cameron Kennedy, writing, quote, "We need to become ungovernable." As the name suggests, Direct Action Minnesota is an organization dedicated to direct action against federal law and immigration enforcement. This action is not peaceful, it's obstructive, disruptive, and unlawful. The organization trains its members in the aggressive use of shields against law enforcement, surveillance, operational planning, and rapid mobilization against law enforcement actions. Though investigations are ongoing, what we know now is that Direct Action Minnesota is comprised of members of subgroups. For example, the Black Hat Workers Collective. The Black Hat Workers Collective is a Minneapolis-based Antifa affinity group which advocates, promotes, and utilizes militant tactics and violence. Here you can see that their Facebook cover page shows as a banner the burning down of the Minneapolis Police Department's 3rd Precinct. One of the leaders of Direct Action Minnesota, Defendant Kyle Wagner, identifies himself as Antifa, and he doesn't shy away from it.
My name is Kyle, I'm Antifa, and there's so much rage in me that I've had to record this like 15 times trying to get the message out. They fucked up, okay? Go watch my other videos, doesn't matter if you're not here, you're not caught up, you missed the fuck.
And as
down for a little bit, this announcement or this video that's being posted is a lot of profanity, so we're gonna wait till this wraps.
I was like, why is it all so?
we're not talking about peaceful protests. His words, not mine. During Operation Metro Surge, Direct Action Minnesota infiltrated and exploited
Look at how many
lawful
people
protests
grab their
to more
remotes.
efficiently carry out its unlawful direct actions, targeting operations involving ICE as well as other federal law enforcement, and as well as other state law enforcement. In order to achieve the ends of the conspiracy, Direct Action Minnesota was highly organized, holding meetings on a regular basis, and engaged in what they called operational security, or OPSEC. The indictment unsealed today includes a focus on 2 days in which Direct Action Minnesota organized and participated in actions against federal and local law enforcement on January 23, 2026, and on March 1st, 2026. On those days, Direct Action Minnesota members deployed what they called hard and soft blockades against federal law enforcement, as well as against Hennepin County Sheriff's deputies. Direct Action Minnesota shut down operations at the Federal Whipple Building, a government building just north of the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, and the main hub for several federal agencies. Members of their hard blockade team used vehicles, RV trailers that they would overturn, check hedgehogs, and ice blocks that they would throw at law enforcement to obstruct roads used by law enforcement near the Whipple Building in order to impede the movement of law enforcement. Members of their soft blockade team used homemade shields constructed from plastic, wood, and metal to physically resist the efforts of law enforcement and to aggressively break through teams of officers on foot. Direct Action Minnesota members also engaged in what they called commuting tactics, which included identifying, following, surveilling, harassing, and confronting law enforcement officers. Conspiracy members even followed law enforcement officers from locations like the Whipple Building, to the officers' homes. For example, as alleged in the indictment on May 4, 2026, defendant Isaac Sant followed federal officers from the Whipple Building all the way to Hudson, Wisconsin, where St. Croix County deputies stopped him. Such stalking and other direct actions against law enforcement are criminal, they're un-American, and they'll be met with swift justice. That's why we're here today. To those who choose to threaten or harm federal officers, we will hold you accountable. We will defend federal officers, we will protect the public, we will enforce the law. I want to thank our partners at Homeland Security Investigations for their outstanding work on this case, and I now ask the Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations here in Minnesota, Michael McCarthy, to provide further illumination for us.
Thank you, U.S. Attorney Rosen, for your steadfast partnership. Good morning. My name is Michael McCarthy, and I'm the Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security Investigations St. Paul. Today's announcement is a result of a thorough and months-long investigation into a deeply concerning trend: coordinated violence targeting federal law enforcement officers and facilities. These acts were designed to create chaos, disrupt operations, and threaten the safety of our officers and our community. Every day, officers and agents kiss their loved ones goodbye, fully aware of the danger they face as they risk their lives to protect their communities. Each and every one of us in the law enforcement community does so with the ultimate goal of making it home to our families each night. We are sons, daughters, mothers, and fathers. We swore an oath to protect and serve, and we place the public's well-being above our own safety, without hesitation, and often without recognition. Make no mistake, officers and agents do not have the luxury of deciding when they should and should not do their job. The law is the law. Over the past several months, we have seen organized groups deliberately plan and carry out criminal acts, including assaults, threats, destruction of government property, and efforts to obstruct federal officers. Much of the recent civil unrest in the metro area has been linked to anti-ICE demonstrations. Let me be clear. Peaceful protest is a protected right and a cornerstone of our democracy. We respect and defend that right. However, there's a clear line that cannot be crossed. When protest turns into rioting, violence, or criminal activity, it becomes unlawful, and it will not be tolerated. Unfortunately, some groups have crossed that line. Working closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office, our investigation uncovered extensive planning, material support, and coordinated attacks against federal personnel and facilities. Our teams have worked tirelessly, conducting surveillance, reviewing camera footage, and analyzing large volumes of information to identify those responsible. I want to thank all the agents and staff whose dedication and professionalism made these indictments possible. Our message is clear. You may not agree with the laws. You may protest the laws, but you must follow the laws or face the consequences. It is not optional. We will enforce the law. Any attempt to undermine it through violence or intimidation will be met with decisive action. Our primary responsibility is to ensure the safety of our officers and the broader community. Today's arrests are an important milestone, but this is not the finish line. HSI and our partners remain committed to identifying, investigating, and bringing to justice anyone who promotes or engages in violence against law enforcement or our communities. Again, I thank the U.S. Attorney's Office for their partnership. Together, we are committed to protecting our officers, our communities, and the rule of law. Thank you.
If you have some questions, I'll be happy to take them. I just ask that each of you just tell me your name and the organization that you're here reporting for, and eventually over time I'll start to learn all of your names. Yes, ma'am?
Madison McMahon with Minnesota Reformer.
At Darling's Hyundai in Augusta, summer is here and so are the savings. Lease a 2026 Hyundai Elantra, only $299 a month, 0 down, first payment only due at signing. Or lease a 2026 Hyundai Sonata, only $299 a month, $22.99 due at signing. Don't miss these hot summer deals at Darling's Hyundai in Augusta. You'll do better at Darling's.
Tired of sacrificing luxury because of cost? Looking and feeling great shouldn't break the bank. That's why we developed Pure Silk Shave Cream, specifically enriched with hydrating aloe and other skin-loving ingredients to provide a decadent and luxurious shave, all at an affordable price. For healthy, silky smooth skin that will have you looking and feeling your best, trust Pure Silk Shave Cream. Confidence begins with skin that looks and feels like pure silk.
This argument has reported that more than 1/3 of prosecutors' cases against people charged with protesting or stalking federal officers during Operation Metro Surge have already been dismissed or failed in some way. Why is this case different?
Well, I don't think any cases have failed in any way, but I will tell you, read the indictment, and you'll understand the full magnitude of this case. Yes, sir.
To follow up on that, it's actually half now. I've been tracking these 18 U.S.C. 111 cases closely. 36, 18 have been dropped entirely, 3 with prejudice. There are non-prosecution agreements in at least 11 others. A magistrate judge called one of the affidavits that Special Agent Richard Berger had signed, one of many, a false affidavit, and it was unclear why your office was continuing to prosecute this case. How can the courts be assured, how can juries be assured that what's in this indictment and these affidavits is true and is based on facts?
You watch how this case plays out, you watch how the evidence plays out, and the evidence will prove it all out. Yes, sir.
On January 22, federal agents went to the Aloha Hotel and were seeking an arrest warrant.
Making some rice.
They mistaken one of her roommates and tackled her. She wasn't arrested until several months later. Jordan Kushner, Nikema Levy-Armstrong's attorney, said that there was a deal for her to turn herself in peacefully. Was there a deal between the DOJ's office and Nikema Levy-Armstrong for her to peacefully turn herself in? And if so, what led to that decision to arrest her at the hotel?
The answer is any deal for her peaceful surrender was that she walk out of the hotel room that she was hiding in, and she says, I surrendered to the federal law enforcement officers that were in the hallway, and that's exactly what occurred. Yes, sir.
Can you say where Scott Johnson was the same power line? Can you say where the video of Kyle Wagner came from?
I think I can say Instagram. Instagram, Scott. Yes.
What can you tell us about the fugitives involved in this case? Where does that investigation stand and share who that is?
Are you talking about the 2 people that I said that are still at large? These are 2 people who know that they are being sought by federal law enforcement and have not yet surrendered. We expect that they will surrender peacefully. They are aware of it, and I think that they probably understand.
Yeah.
We are aware that they know specifically, and I do believe that they will understand that the best way for them is to surrender. Yes.
Jan Shortle, Carol Levin, you talked about to threaten those who wish to threaten or harm, they will be held accountable. They will be prosecuted. Here in Minnesota and across the country, people still have questions as to why there isn't any prosecution or any charges filed against the officers who shot and killed Renee Good or the officers who shot and killed Alex Craig.
Those investigations are ongoing. They are ongoing in the way that proper federal law enforcement investigations ought to proceed. They will proceed to their completion, and they'll proceed to their completion in the proper pace and at the proper time.
So they are investigating both cases, the shooting of Renee Good and the shooting of Alex Craig?
I think that's been reported many, many times that both...
checking in on that.
Who's investigating? Which agencies are investigating?
We're not going to get into the details of those investigations here today, but I can assure all of you that has been reported previously. Federal law enforcement is investigating in both cases. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Manuel. You talked about coordinated attacks. What kind of injuries did officers sustain as part of these campaigns, if any? Can you elaborate on that?
I can't elaborate on that today, and I don't believe I used the word attacks, but if I did, I stand by it.
General, for Defendant Wagner, do you guys have any documentation of him actually bringing any firearms onto the street or any of his followers bringing firearms onto the street after this video?
I think the specifics of the evidence in that case we're going to allow to roll out in the normal course of events through a proper prosecution, and right now we'll let the indictment stand on their own. Yes.
I was wondering if these 2 groups, Black Cat Workers and Black Cat Action, are they still operating? And are those 2 groups that you continue to monitor?
Well, what I will say with regard to ongoing federal law enforcement efforts is that if you are actively conspiring to impede law enforcement, actively conspiring to commit the acts that today's indictment alleges, you ought to go on the assumption that we're watching you and that will get you. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What evidence do you have that these assaulted attacks took place?
Oh, we have video evidence, we have eyewitness testimony, and all of that evidence will roll out in the normal course of a prosecution. We're showing what we think is necessary in order to get the story out, and I recommend that you read the indictment. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Aaron Johnson, Community Press. About these organizations, apart from to kind of running coattails of that, we saw a lot of interactions with ICE community members all across the city. Were there any sort of corresponding insignias that identified them as these specific groups?
I'm sorry, that identified who, these 15 defendants as these specific groups?
Black Cat, and forgive me, I forget the other off the top of my head. Were they wearing armbands, logos that specifically identified, forgive me, I have a disability, that
take your time.
Their group, or whatever we're going to call it.
So The MO of these particular operators is to exploit legal protests that were ongoing for their illegal acts. As a part of that, they did not always disclose who they were to those that might otherwise be lawful actors in protest.
Since I don't have the indictment in front of me, can you tell me of the 15, how many are from Minnesota?
Good question. I think, do we have that number with us? All of them.
Are they all from the Twin Cities area?
Ron?
They are.
Kyle Wagner identified himself as Antifa. How are you going to do others in that is?
Okay, so that again falls into the realm of the evidence that will roll out in the course of the prosecution, and I understand that the indictments were only unsealed 15 minutes before this press conference, but I do recommend that you read it, and your question will at least be answered in part. Yes, sir.
This might also be the indictment, but like, how is DOJ, how do you define Antifa? Like, what is Antifa?
So what is Antifa goes beyond, I think, the scope of what this indictment is. But what we can tell you is that we have plenty of people that self-identify in that way, and you might want to ask them that question.
Is that a crime to be part of affiliating with this group if it is even?
It's a crime to conspire for the purpose of impeding or injuring federal officers. It's a crime to conspire together in order to commit crimes of violence. It's a crime to get together to stalk. It's a crime to get together to make threats. It's a crime to get together to assault federal officers. It's a crime to get together to destroy federal property. Yes.
How many officers were injured or actually involved in this?
I'm sorry. I'm not sure that anything I just said is a thought crime. I don't think. I'm not following the question. Yes, ma'am.
How many were injured? How many of these officers were injured as a result of these alleged actions? That was the question here.
So again, all of the numbers on this will all roll out in the course of the prosecution. But you understand here that we have a group of people who quite deliberately got together, planned violence,
Emergency oil
used
reserves
violence,
are at the lowest level
and,
since 1983.
whether or not the extent to which they actually achieved their ends of harming people, whether it was by the overturning of vehicles and RVs in the street, whether it was about the throwing of ice blocks at vehicles, whether it was by use of their vehicles in other ways, whether it was by their stalking, whether or not they actually, at the end of the day, caused bodily harm is not the measure of whether or not they committed a serious federal crime. And I would dare say, we just cannot have in this country all people getting together, engaging in all of these violent acts, and then simply saying, well, nobody got hurt.
Fox is going to buy streaming TV platform Roku. $22 billion deal. Fox is buying Roku.
We'll talk about other arrests at other times today. We'll talk about these 15. Yes, sir.
Is that good? Oh, man.
Well, we considered and we charged we charged the crimes for which we have the evidence to convict these individuals. I can take two more questions. Yes.
Is it deep in the heart?
By Border Patrol reviewed us about with the officers involved in the pretty and the good shootings. If those come up with any evidence, would you consider charging any by Border Patrol
Evidence to convict these individuals. I can take two more questions. Yes.
One last follow-up on what I was asking about earlier. So there are internal investigations by Border Patrol reviewed us about with the officers involved in the pretty and the good shootings. If those come up with any evidence, would you consider charging any officers in the shootings of Renee Good and Alex Gray?
If the evidence shows that we can prosecute and convict somebody beyond a reasonable doubt, we will charge. We will not undercharge, we will not overcharge, but we will pursue federal prosecution in the manner that the evidence dictates. Yes, sir. Great question. Is the indictment posted online yet?
It's publicly filed.
It's publicly filed now with the court. We will, I'll tell you what, ask Hong Bui, who is in the back of the room, and Hong will make sure that you get all of it. All right. I think we've already been through that. All right. Thank you very much.
Outside the plaza of the federal courthouse from community members and the National Lawyers Guild responding to the allegations in this indictment and this continuing act.
All right, there you have it. The Department of Justice having that press conference announcing charges against 15 defendants.
No. What? Wait, Gemini and Crow. Which of these is close?
We were just gonna hang out. There wasn't actually no plan made.
Okay.
You
guys talked a lot about it.
We were talking sexual.
Okay, I'll have you take a seat right here.
In like 5 messages, we said, Victoria, I want to let you know I'm 14 years old. I'm about to be 15.
Last time, I did not do anything wrong. No.
I said he was arrested.
Joaquin! So we are looking for a blue Santa Fe. This caller is an ex-police officer, so prior law enforcement experience, and he is calling to report that he did some type of like sting operation. So we're looking for this blue Santa Fe so that we can get some more information on what exactly he has. What's going on today?
While we're here.
I talked to a 14-year-old online.
Okay.
I didn't realize, they told me their age. I told them that we could be friends. And then, we were just gonna hang out. There wasn't actually no plan made.
Okay.
It was
You guys talked a lot about it.
we were talking sexual.
Okay.
And, I wasn't.
Obviously, with technology, right? Everything's there. It's kind of out for the whole world to see, okay? I understand with a lot of people, it's kind of awkward and uncomfortable. So why don't I put you in the back of my car? We'll have a discussion, the two of us, and then I'll speak with them privately. Does that sound good to you? Unless you want to keep talking in front of everybody, but
Being arrested.
right now you're being detained. Right now you're going to be detained, okay?
Be honest with him like you were with me.
Yeah.
You guys,
It's not his
I know
life.
you guys know everything.
We do, but I mean,
That's why I'm saying be honest with her.
Yep.
Because, lying about it, then they find out about it.
Yeah.
Get you anywhere.
You guys just didn't know, my intentions. I wasn't gonna go. I still have.
We can't see your intentions through a screen.
Yeah.
You can only read your intentions.
I know, I wasn't gonna go. I knew it was wrong, and I wasn't. I was in it for the story, just talking, but I wasn't gonna go.
Okay.
Look, I'm not bashing you, dude, okay? You're honest with me. I'm gonna tell her you're honest with me. Be honest with her.
Yeah, that's the best way to go about it. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a seat in the car really quick so I can talk with them, get some more information from them. Okay? You can finish your cigarette if you want. Do you mind if I search you really quick? Okay, can you just put your hands up here for me?
Can you call my girlfriend?
Absolutely. I'm not even gonna put you in handcuffs, okay? I'm just gonna sit you in the backseat of the car, but I'm gonna search you really quick before I do that, okay? No weapons on you or anything?
I didn't get no pictures of them or nothing.
Okay. All right, we'll have a discussion about it. Like I said, we're gonna talk about it in my car, okay? Is this your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna hang on to that for just a second, okay? Yeah, we can do that. Okay, I'm gonna have you take a seat right here. Just leave your phone. I'm gonna grab it. We'll get you squared away, okay? Just give me 1 second. Let me do a couple things here, okay? Oops.
Here's this one. That's 3.
Thank you. Yes.
Me and my partner own the company.
Okay.
And he's just tagged along with us on this one.
Sure.
So what happened today was reached out initially, which we're either going to have to give you the account on Grindr if you guys want to pull that back up. He blocked us right away, or he blocked him. One of the two.
Sure.
The messages disappeared. But I do have. It was like 5 messages.
Gotcha.
I don't want to talk on here. Talk on my cell phone.
Okay.
So then he messaged us, "Hello, how are you?" And then within like 5 messages, we said, Victoria, I want to let you know I'm 14 years old. I'm about to be 15. And then after that started, my boyfriend's 20, but he said 14 right here. He said we can be friends. And then he didn't send any explicit pictures.
Okay.
Once they talked just barely at all, I started talking about penis size here. What do you want to do with me? I'm a dom pleaser. And so.
Okay.
What video chat? I was talking about video chat. I wanted this video call. Your boyfriend. Can you add your boyfriend to the chat? So there are more chats where the 20-year-old decoy is talking with the 14-year-old and him, all sexual.
Okay.
And then you freaked me out not turning your camera on because you accidentally called him the other night. It was a mistake. But he was talking about the 20-year-old.
Sure.
And then it goes right back to sexual. It's very quick. Depends on the mood. I like to pound and be passionate about the kissing. Are you excited to try?
Are you able to screenshot and send them? Oh, okay. Wonderful.
I can screenshot everything just a little bit on each one to show you that it's in order like that.
Yeah, that would be great.
All that information.
Yep. And then, was the plan to meet here then?
No, he wanted to get it. The last message to us was, my brother's going to be at my house tonight. I'd rather get a room.
Okay.
So he was talking about having a hotel room tonight with the 20-year-old and the 14-year-old. And he fully admitted to everything, but he kept saying, I wasn't going to meet him. It was just all for story.
Okay.
He admitted to all the sexual conversation, admitted knowing he was 14 years old.
Okay.
Admitted to everything.
Okay.
But he did say at the end like he wasn't going to meet him. But he's still definitely a constant solicitor admirer.
Sure, for more purposes.
Without a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when I got that, he actually sent a picture to the group chat in front of those slingshots right there. So we were like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. We had another place picked out. We were on our way to it, and we passed by here. And we're like, no, that's it. He's there right now. So we seen as soon as we ran down Sunoco, came back, pulled in, he was getting in the side by side. I said, that's him right there.
Okay. But how did you know this area?
I looked. He said he was a player's tech.
Oh.
And so I looked up.
He said he lived in Irons.
He said he lived in Irons.
Oh, okay. So you guys put two and two together. It's not that difficult. But
Yeah.
okay, I was just curious. 'Cause I'm like, it's a little random little place.
Well, the reason that we came here initially is because he told you, right? He was a player's tech. Yeah. So I looked up where our players' techs is, and then he sent the picture of the slingshot.
Sure.
So I asked ChatGPT. I said, where are players' slingshot techs? Where would they be working at? It gave me another location. As we're on our way to that location.
That's when you, okay. Probably give you what, Peacock?
Fox
Motorsports, yeah.
And I was like, as soon as we passed that,
Yeah, you were like, it's, okay, wow, that's crazy.
He took a
Okay.
picture right in front of the side by side.
Okay. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get you guys entered in the call. I'm gonna pull a number. I'm gonna put it on a business card for you. And I'm gonna make sure I have everybody's phone number because I might have additional questions. I'm gonna give you my work cell. You can send me those screenshots and then I'll interview him and take him off to the jail, okay?
Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks so much.
you bet. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand those rights? Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on today? I'm just getting one side of the story, so I want to make sure that I have, your side of the story.
Someone had messaged me on an app.
And what app was it? Grindr, okay.
We talked a little, like the first message, in the first 5 messages, they had said that they were 14. Like it was more like a story. It was never intentionally for me to actually go and meet them.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you think that maybe they could have interpreted it that way?
yeah, and a lot of people do that on Grindr. Like they'll tell you that they're coming and they're coming and then they'll never come.
Here's the thing too, like he kind of was saying, sometimes you can't really understand the tone through text message, sometimes it gets lost in translation. So that's totally something normal. Do you think that, being 14, obviously they're not as developed as you, right?
Yeah.
With their brain, with the way they think. Do you think it would be reasonable that they believed that you wanted something more than a friendship?
They could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Because I saw some of the messages, obviously, because he showed me, and a lot of them were pretty explicit. So do you think maybe the 14-year-old felt enticed to?
I never really believed that they were 14.
You didn't believe? Why is that? Did you see a photo or something of them?
The pictures, they looked older.
Okay.
And then people, they age play a lot.
That's true. There is different age play for sure.
I kept asking to video chat or call or and I multiple times I asked just to double check. Like I asked multiple times, can I see you? Like let's
face to face. Did the person say they were 14 to you?
In the message, they said after that I messaged their text message. Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say, wouldn't it be safe to say probably better safe than sorry if someone says you're 14? Maybe they were age playing, maybe they weren't. Maybe it's an immature teenager that.
That's why I was asking to for proof,
Right.
There's the report number on there, and then this is my work cell, so that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, is that an iPhone? Okay, so I'll send those to my iPhone, and then I'm gonna text you from my phone number to that, and I'll send you all the messages.
Awesome.
Baby, I love you so much, and please go to all your doctor's appointments for our baby, okay? And I'll make this right up. I'll make this right to you, okay? I'm sorry.
All right, I'm just gonna need you to turn around and put your hands behind your back for me. Put your palms together like you're praying. Is that too tight for you? Is it okay? All right. So right now you're nervous for costing a mile for in more purposes, okay? I need you to have a seat back in the car for me, okay? Excellent. We'll give her a call when we get to the jail. Sound good? Okay. Watch your knees.
Your phone's gonna go with me. I'm gonna do a search warrant for it, just so you know. So you won't be able to get your phone back for a little while. But I just want you to be aware of it. Okay?
Before we go through this door, you got nothing that's gonna pull me, stab me, stick me, pull me up, anything like that? Once we process, it becomes a federal crime. You got nothing on you? No. Go on, move. Welcome. So you need to take your belt off, and you need to take your shoes off, and take your hat off. all kinds of stuff in your pockets, huh? I'm glad I turned your pockets inside out. I'm looking at a bunch of change in here. I'm jacking your pants up. What is this in here? Cigarettes? Cigarettes, you stick them when you get done smoking?
Yeah, if you got it. I think people that it, so I don't leave them in here.
Just stay just like that? Okay. Just wait, see right here. What's that grade? 12.
It was a situation where adult male was contacting what he thought was a minor male and accosting them for immoral purposes is what the statute says. So we went out there, we made contact. The complainants were people that kind of go around the states and around Michigan, specifically targeting predators like this and then contacting law enforcement and working with them to find justice for these child sex crimes, basically. So we went out there, we coordinated with him. He was able to give me the digital evidence, and then I was able to interview the suspect one-on-one, who pretty much confirmed everything that was in the digital evidence. With that, we've established probable cause, so we made a physical arrest, came back here. So with it being a felony, with it being a Friday and a holiday, we'll have to do what's called a weekend warrant. I'll have to get a hold of the prosecutor, get him to type up the warrant so that we can get bond for this particular subject. I'm also going to have to do a police report and a couple other paperwork type stuff. We also, as part of the investigation, collected his cell phone, and we'll be doing a search warrant on the cell phone so that we have additional digital evidence for court proceedings at a later time.
Once you pop, you'll realize your heart and stomach share the same desire.
Just shampoo like you do. Try Just for Men Control GX Spray Reducing Shampoo.
Cause it feels right, just like water. It's me,
Let's see that again. She opens the Gemini app and asks for help hanging pictures. Oh my, they're up against it here. Oh, what a line-up from Gemini. A true work of art if ever I've seen it.
Court proceedings at a later time.
See me, I want to see who you are. I didn't see who you are. Come on here.
signs in there, right by the dashboard. Coors Light. Take a picture of it, and then I'll hold my PDT over it to see if it detects any alcohol inside. Both cans tested. Positive for alcohol.
It's off the British from doing anything, which it does. In March, the British government said we will intercept Russian dark fleet ships passing anywhere near British waters. Since that time, over 150 ships and more than 200 transits have taken place, so the Russians have stopped believing us. On Sunday, the government then took this measure. The Grigorovich wasn't anywhere around when they intercepted this ship that was off near the Isle of Wight at the time, and they took it into Weymouth. So the
miles from where
exactly, quite a long way away. Yeah. Why the Grigorovich had gone that far south, I'm not certain, but it basically patrols British waters to frighten us into not acting on what we said we were going to do. And this is the whole point. Having initiated this action now, we've got to be brave, because the next time we do it, the Russians will be prepared to try to frighten us off. And so they say that they've got armed men on board some of these dark fleet tankers, which they have, although some of the security men don't seem to be armed. So they seem to have Wagner Group, mercenaries on board some of these tankers. Some of them are armed, some are not. At the point at which we intercept the tank with armed men on board, there will be a firefight, probably.
So we can see the pictures of the tanker being seized on Sunday.
Yeah.
We can just show those to remind us. So this is the operation that happened on Sunday.
That's right.
But you're saying that as far as we know, there weren't people that were armed on board?
No, apparently not. And what the MOD did, they got the HMS Sutherland, which is Type 23 frigate, which is very important. There's a good, powerful warship, thankfully, was available. And the Ledbury, which is just a mine counter-measure ship, that had almost nothing, to be honest, a couple of machine guns, and that's it. But they had a couple of ships near, and then the helicopters, the Wildcat helicopters and the Chinook and the Merlin. So they were able to drop Marines onto the ship. They took over the ship, all very peaceful, it was easy, and NCA, National Crime Agency people, because if they're going to arrest anyone, the military can't arrest anyone, they can hold them at gunpoint, but to arrest anyone, you've got to have a crime agency officer, the police there to make an arrest, and they arrested the captain. So having done it once, if we do it again, it's going to get harder, because the Russians now will use the Grigorovich to sail up and down and challenge us. And the way around that is that we've got to be able to overmatch it, which means we need more ships than we seem to have available. If the Grigorovich is quite a powerful frigate, it used to be in the Black Sea Fleet. If we're going to match the Grigorovich, we've got to overmatch it with at least two Type 23s, which I don't think we've got available, or a Type 45 destroyer, and we've only got two in the water, and one's in the North Atlantic, one's in the Gulf, so we haven't got any of them. It's interesting to work out how we would do this. Because, as I say, until now, the Grigorovich has acted as a deterrent to us being brave enough to try what we said we were going to do in March. Why the Grigorovich might have fired on a yacht, unless they just want to make a point and just, again, frighten everybody, that's possible.
Are you talking to me? Maybe they're poking us back?
Maybe, yeah. That
Are you talking to me?
Or it could be, maybe they thought that the yacht had journalists on board, or was some sort of unofficial British attempt to get close and that they needed to fend it off. Maybe they're just getting a bit paranoid because they know that we are now ramping up, not just us, but the French are doing it, and so are some of the Scandinavian countries, the Swedes and the Finns are now getting very keen on intercepting dark fleet tankers, and also these ships that drag their anchors and try to damage our cables and pipelines. So it's been going for 4 or 5 years, this campaign, and in this year the Western Allies have now said we're going to stop these dark fleet tankers. At any given time, there's anything from 400 to 1,400 of these dark fleet tankers operating around the world, and they're keeping Russia going by taking sanctioned oil all over the world, being sold at below market prices because it's illegal oil. But nevertheless, the tankers are very important to the Russians. It keeps their economy going. So we've been saying for ages that we'll stop this. And on Sunday we took a small step to stop one tanker. And the first time is relatively easy. The second, third time would be tougher. And the Grigorovich is the ship that the Russians think is going to deter us from trying again.
So we haven't got a ship nearby. What about the French? I mean, this is in the Channel, just south of the Isle of Wight, so not far from where this tanker was taken on Sunday. Is that a possibility?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if it's Our water's French water, it's international water.
Well, in theory, I don't know where the Sutherland is at the moment, the frigate, the Type 23 that we used on Sunday, but it can't be far away since it was there on Sunday. So it's got to be available to get back into that area if it's somewhere around the south coast. And the French have got available frigates. I mean, they've used them. They've got frigates in Toulon because they got to Cyprus a lot quicker than we did when the Iranians sent drones against Akrotiri in Cyprus. So I mean, they could certainly get frigates into that area. So with our allies, there's no question we could overmatch anything the Russians could put up to defend one of their Dolphin tankers. My understanding is the British always said, when we do one of these operations, it has to be a sovereign operation. It has to be us alone. I mean, with French were helping in this case with sort of surveillance helicopters, but we have to proceed to take the major role when we do it. And we chose to do it on Sunday, having missed or not taken a lot of other chances that have come up in the last 13 months. Why we chose Sunday, we can guess. We can speculate as to why the government wanted to make a big statement on defence policy on Sunday after the resignations on Friday and Saturday. Maybe, maybe not. But the fact is that with the Allies together can do this if they coordinate and make a policy of intercepting dark fleet tankers. Now, it won't stop them running because the tankers will then go the long way round. Then they have to go another 500 or 600 miles out into the Atlantic. They have to go into rough waters. And these big tankers, which are rust buckets, I mean, most of them are barely seaworthy. And in difficult Atlantic waters, there is always a danger that they just won't make it. And so it's difficult. And what you're trying to do is get to the owners. I mean, the owners of these tankers are mainly in China, in the United Arab Emirates, in a lot of them are in Hong Kong and in Russia. So there's a groups of owners, and they change the ownership around these tankers. They sometimes change their flags of convenience 3 times in a single voyage, which is illegal. But they do it, and there's been a great network of these things. Only when the owners realise that they will lose the tanker, it'll be taken into Weymouth, and it'll be 5 years of argument about what we do with it, and you'll lose the oil on the tanker, we'll pump it out and give it to the Ukrainians, whatever. When they realise that the tankers could be picked off, I mean, more or less at will, if we get to that situation, then there'll be far fewer tanker owners willing to put their expensive tankers on the line, even though they're rust buckets. They're still worth millions and millions of pounds or dollars, and they won't then use them as dark fleet tankers if they think that the dark fleet really is being targeted. So far there's been, as it were, pinpricks, but it would have to be a more organised campaign by the Allies to really do something about it. And if that campaign were to start, the Russians will retaliate. So we are moving towards, as I've been saying for 18 months or so now, we are moving towards some quite serious incidents at sea between the Western Allies and the Russians.
We had John Healey giving his resignation speech in the House of Commons just a couple of hours ago, and in that speech he said how much the threats have changed over the last few years, and that all the government assessments and NATO says we must prepare for war with Russia within 5 years. I mean,
yes.
Is this how this kind of war starts?
Yes. Well, I'm sure that the Russians are on a road to military confrontation with us, and they're pushing to see how much they can do before we dig our toes in and say no more. And when they look at our pipelines and our cables, maybe our cables are 90% secure, but the Russians are looking for the 10% that aren't secure. They're looking for the vulnerability. Because the moment that we deploy our major forces towards some great crisis in the Baltic states, say in 2028 or 2029 with the Russians, the week that we deploy forces, our health service records will all go crazy. Airports will close because the air traffic control system has been messed up. Our internet system will start to go down. We won't be able, payment systems won't work. The Russians have got a whole series of levers that they've been working on for years, and we don't know how effective they've been. But they'll pull all the levers in the week that we deploy forces in order to give the government a series of domestic crises to deal with when they're trying to do something in the foreign field. That's Russian thinking. It goes back a long, long way.
And when so many young men and women are looking for answers and solutions to those kind of things, I mean, beauty is only skin deep, right? But it doesn't bother people if they get that psoriasis, acne, or itchy. So less dairy and meat is one of the top things in our classes that help people to eliminate those things, and the medications that gave them horrible side effects. You know what? I'm not saying you shouldn't use your medication or tell the whole world how the powerful medication helped you because you didn't want to stop eating your dairy and meat. Maybe you did, and that's maybe what actually helped your psoriasis and not the medication at all. But that's not what they pay you to say, is it? So we will fucking say it every time we see the ad and do you the favor. How about that? I know, right? And some get paid and some get played. Some become targets. Others wave from afar. We had to leave. They made Trump president. We had to leave. They're crazy. I know, they just use it as an excuse. And then when he grabs a pussy, it's like, oh, we understand. You know, they're women activists, you know. So we get it. Yeah, they're overreactive. Just ignore them. I mean, in reality, they're bouncing around. I know, for what reasons? I know when shit starts to get exposed and people start to get targeted for being connected to some of the worst criminal networks on the face of the earth, and they're connected to drug trafficking lines that they're familiar with from the 90s, they don't do drugs anymore and they're recovered, right? Kennedy? We know that. But a lot of their kids and other people, you know, have turned to other things and big pharma, skinwalker ranches, ghost alien hunting. SSRIs are a big one for them. It's amazing how none of these fucking people talk about that shit. The only one who lived was the son of a preacher man. And we love you. Was the son of a preacher man. He was. I don't know, someone just sent that over. They said some Dylan kid wrote it. I don't know, some Dylan kid?
Hi.
You getting hungry yet?
Yeah, can I have some of that blueberry combo?
Well, yeah. You want that? I got it. Do you want a drink with it? Okay. Was the son of a preacher man. Yes, he was. He was. I can't blame him. Told you when he woke up, he'd want some of this blueberry crumble. Stuff is so good. The only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man. Was the son of a preacher man. He was. Was the son of a preacher man. Was the son of a preacher man. Was the son of a preacher man. Mic check. 1, 2.
On the recording. Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, and I'm going to be chef, restaurant crew, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriasis license. That's why.
Are you freaking serious?
It helps.
Alexa, if you play me one more prescription ad, you're going out the window.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Ozempic secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older.
Alexa, play me a song from 1972.
Playing music from 1972 on Amazon Music.
Alexa, play me music from 1937.
Playing music from 1937 on Amazon Music.
Alexa, volume 8.
I went to the law school. Well, on my knees.
Is that too loud, Jamie? Stop. Alexa, volume 6. Alexa, volume 5. Is that better? Good. Well, Alexa, volume 6. How's that one? Is 6 okay? You want it back on 5?
Alexa, volume 5. Make that not there. Make that flickering. Show your mother the big fish? Huh? Show her the big fish? Yes. Mother? Oh, you show the big fish on the one? Fine.
All right, guys, we got some crazy news coming out of the governor's office.
Wow. It's a big one, huh?
Yeah, it's an sturgeon. Trying to get away with everything else.
Must have been hungry. Jumping up like that. Must have been looking for food, huh? Or just getting some exercise. Practicing for the high jump.
Office of California. Gavin Newsom is claiming that he is under investigation by the Trump administration. Now, this comes during a time where it's become pretty clear that Gavin Newsom is probably going to run for president in 2028. Now, he is not my cup of tea for president, but I think we know what a lot of this is all about. So he is under investigation, but not just him, also his wife. Let's go ahead and get into the announcement where he revealed this to the public. And pay close attention. If you'll notice here, Gavin Newsom, the way that he is addressing this, it's not just in a regular quick video. This is being addressed as sort of a press conference. So pay attention to that.
In recent days, federal agents have knocked on the doors of family, friends, and former employees. Not because they found a crime, because they're simply trying to find one. They're demanding records. They're abusing the grand jury process, digging through years and years of random documents. Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president. Because he hates that I've consistently called him out over and over again for his lies and deceit.
So, I want to know what those documents are. Gavin Newsom has been called out before. People may forget this, but under the Biden administration, Gavin Newsom did have a recall in California because after he locked down California during the pandemic, he was spotted out and about at the French Laundry, this hoity-toity restaurant in California, having dinner with a bunch of rich people. And people were very upset about that. They said, how could you tell us that we're not allowed to go to the restaurants and eat? You locked us down, but you're going to those restaurants and you're eating. You're still living your regular life. And so there was criticism about that. So Gavin Newsom did face a recall. He won that recall. But I wonder, what are these documents that they're looking at? They haven't released a lot of information about this at this point in time, so I'm curious about that. He also goes on to say that they're coming after his wife. So they're not just looking into him, they're looking after her as well. And by they, I mean the DOJ. So Kash Patel, Donald Trump is basically 6 Kash Patel on Gavin Newsom and his wife. Again, Gavin Newsom is not my cup of tea for president. He's very corporate, he's very corrupt. He doesn't even want to call what's happening in Gaza a genocide. He's establishment. He's an establishment Democrat. He's related to Nancy Pelosi, for those who don't know. He's related to her by marriage, right? So he is a part of that political dynasty there. But I don't know. I want to know, what are these documents that they're looking at?
Donald Trump is simply the most corrupt president in American history. He's turned the levers of government into his own personal power ministries to reward cronies and to try to jail his opponents. His personal attorney now runs the Department of Justice, which has repeatedly gone after his political enemies. Ask Jerome Powell. Sent them after James Comey, Trish James, Adam Schiff. He sent them after Tim Walz, and a woman that a jury found Donald Trump had sexually abused. One by one, anyone who has challenged Donald Trump has ended up on his hit list, and today I proudly join that list. After calling for my arrest last year, Donald Trump directed his Department of Justice to investigate me. And just in the last week, I've learned that his campaign has reached my own home. To get me, he's coming after my wife, Jen.
This is when they try to disrupt the family dynamic. When they go as far as to not just come after a potential presidential candidate, someone who's also a politician right now, but then they also try to go after family members, they're trying to disrupt the family, right? And why would they do that? Well, one of the reasons is to shake them up, to rattle them, so that Gavin Newsom would reconsider running for president. Now, it's interesting, if we're looking at the polls, a couple of months ago, it did show that Gavin Newsom was leading the pack for the Democrat primary, that he had the highest percentage. If the presidential election were that day, the majority of Democrat voters that took that poll said that they would vote for Gavin Newsom. But in recent events, he has fallen down. Kamala Harris has now jumped to the lead of that. She has overtaken Gavin Newsom in that poll, which is interesting. I think it's laughable that people want Kamala Harris to run for president again. But
take the wheel of a new 2026 Sportage Hybrid and set out on your next adventure from Charlie's Kia. Enjoy impressive range and a standard 12.3-inch curved touchscreen display with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Click now to view our inventory during the Summer Sticker Sales event.
Harris Farmers Union helps you nurture the natural world. We have all the best-known pet foods for your dog and cat, including Entrust, Acana, Iams.
Gavin Newsom is still most likely going to run. Right? We don't know for sure if Kamala Harris is going to run again. She hasn't made that very clear. Gavin Newsom seems to be making it a little bit more clear. And I think that Donald Trump believes that Gavin Newsom and against J.D. Vance, or against him, I'm still not totally convinced that Donald Trump won't try to run again or just maintain the office. I'm not, totally convinced he's going to do the right thing here. But he knows that someone like Gavin Newsom may have a better shot. They may have a better chance, right? So it's interesting that they haven't said what these documents are or what they're actually investigating.
A public servant, a woman who's dedicated her life to supporting women and girls. Someone who has done nothing wrong other than having the temerity to advocate for what she believes in.
But this is why they do it. This is why they go after them. This is why they try to go after family members, is to try to break up, to rattle, to disrupt the family dynamic, right? A lot of times when people do this, they're not happy with themselves, right? That their own family is fucked up, so they go after someone else's. And this is not to say Gavin Newsom's family is not. I don't know. But I do know if Gavin Newsom wasn't considering running for president, this investigation would not take place.
If they can't intimidate me, they'll go after the mother of our children. Donald Trump picked the wrong target. We have nothing to hide. His political operatives can take every record and read every page, but they'll be looking in the wrong place. Because if they really want to find corruption, look no further than 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Donald Trump is selling the presidency. He's running the largest cash heist in American political history, trading foreign tariff relief for approval of his golf courses. Day trading behind the Resolute desk, reaping.
I don't know if I would call out the trading thing for Donald Trump when your relative was also doing insider trading, and that's Nancy Pelosi. So I don't know, Gavin. You might want when we're talking about corruption, your relative, who retired from Congress, but Nancy Pelosi is also corrupt as well. So it's partisan theater.
Hundreds of millions of dollars in personal profit. And he's doing it openly. He's doing it on camera. He did it last night on the White House lawn. He's doing it through cryptocurrencies. He's doing it through the receipt of a $400 million private jet from a foreign government that he plans to keep when he leaves office. Through his son's ventures in countries where his own administration is simultaneously making policy. His personal fortune has skyrocketed by $4 billion since making his return to office. This is the behavior of a regime, not a republic. The White House has become a marketplace for sneakers and coins and watches, cologne, guitars, Bibles, and phones.
Yeah, he's going to run for president. That's really what this is. It's not just Gavin Newsom talking about the investigation and the FBI looking into him and his wife, whatever these documents are. This is kind of an audition for President of the United States. That's the way I see it, because Gavin Newsom could have addressed this in a different way. He has a podcast, by the way, so he could have addressed this on his podcast, or he could have addressed it in an interview, I'm pretty sure, any news network would be willing to sit down with him. He's even gone on Fox News where he could have responded to this. But look at how he chose to respond. He's standing behind a podium. He has the U.S. flag and the California flag behind him. He is displaying this monologue in such a way where someone who was running for president would do. So that's just something to look at and pay close attention to. So he's trying to show everybody, look, I can be presidential. You should consider this going into 2028, which isn't as far away as we would like to think that it is. So that's what I see this year from Gavin Newsom, an audition for president.
Influence for sale, access for sale. And today, my family and I can personally confirm that justice is for sale. To Donald Trump, who I know is watching because he watches everything, I have a message for you. You can subpoena my records, you can investigate me, you can harass me, put my name on every and any enemy's list you have, but leave my wife and family out of your personal vendetta. I'd like to say something to my wife. These times are not normal, they're not ordinary. I love you, and I'm sorry he's doing this. You have not earned a single one of the indignities that he's trying to inflict on you and our children. And to Donald Trump,
Posted by the White House over the weekend, the FBI announcing today an Ohio man, you see him here, now in custody and facing federal charges, has been identified as 19-year-old Tyson Proper. Now, according to the criminal complaint here, Proper's mother called police, citing concerns over his recent conduct, including large purchases of firearms and ammunition, and his communication with people online, who she says claimed to be ex-military and Christian-based. More than 4,000 people attended Sunday night's event on the South Lawn that includes, of course, the president, vice president, and active military members. NBC News national law enforcement intelligence correspondent Tom Winter joining us now with more. Tom, according to the FBI, Proper, other individuals plan to fly drones carrying explosives. We mentioned the firearms that were found here. What are we learning about this plot allegedly to attack this UFC event?
Yeah, so Sam, it was 9:18 last Wednesday night when local police received a call about a disturbance allegedly at the home of Proper. And according to court documents, within 20 minutes they uncovered quite a trove of firearms, ballistic plate carriers, that's to thwart bullets, part of a bulletproof vest, that they found all sorts of ammunition and rifles. And as they started to talk to Proper, apparently during the course of a voluntary interview and searched his phone, they uncovered a plot involving potentially as many as 19 individuals working in smaller groups, 4 to 5 individuals. This was all being coordinated over Signal, and they started chatting in March of 2026 via TikTok. They call themselves the Vanguard of the Old. Basically, to boil down their alleged ideology, it's anti-government, it's anti-Israel. They had problems with the handling of the Epstein files. They had issues with data centers and their water usage. They're kind of what we would describe as accelerationists, and they were apparently behind quite a significant.
Do we know how many of the individuals you just described are actually in custody right now? This is an ongoing effort. And also, Tom, what more are we learning about his mother, Proper's mother, contacting the FBI and alerting them of what she was seeing?
Yes, I mean, she had some very significant concerns about him. They also highlighted some of his statements in recent months about making sympathetic comments about Adolf Hitler, posting anti-Semitic comments on Facebook. Basically, she just found that his behavior was quite worrying, and had used $3,000 of his graduation money to purchase all of these guns and ammunition. As far as the plot, we don't know how many individuals are currently in custody. The Secret Service alluded to at a press conference this morning that they didn't leak this because of concerns about the investigation and the case, and so that raises questions about why the FBI director put the information out this morning. But yes, this is very much an ongoing investigation and case we'll be following closely.
It is chilling to think what would happen if she had not spoken up, and obviously a lot more details to report here. Tom Winter, thank you very much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.
Graham Flatner blamed women for getting raped. Flatner said to avoid
rape, women should act like an adult for F's sake. He's an awful person. Graham Plattner is dangerous. I would never vote for Graham Plattner.
That are associated with Jennifer Newsom, who works on women's empowerment issues in documentary films, and they're asking about the finances of those organizations.
Black family was trying to have a reunion on June 7th, and of course, it took a crazy racist white man to screw the whole thing up. Like, literally, y'all. Check this out. Roll a video. This actually happened. And it shows you just the insane stuff that black folk have to deal with. Police have charged Jeffrey Tyler Kinzer with aggravated assault after he unloaded an AR-15 style rifle at a black family reunion. Kashana Wilson posted this on TikTok.
Listening to them laugh and joke.
And if they can find some type of connection there, that is.
They do that. Yeah, they do that too. Yeah, some of those abuse it's so
They're willing to do all of that to go after them, but they're still willing to go after their buddies in the Epstein files. So pay close attention to that. What you are seeing, this hostile action from Trump, where they are trying to go after organizations, they're trying to go after other people, that is a direct response to the release of the Epstein files. Well, I'm not going to go after my friends and my business buddies, the Epstein class, so I'm going to go after other people.
The restraint involved these men.
It's ridiculous when you think about it. So we're still trying to learn more, but they're definitely under scrutiny at this point.
All right, Bob, you've spoken to Governor Newsom quite a bit. This appears to be sort of in line with the fact that many people believe that he could be potentially running for president of the United States. Are some in Washington seeing this DOJ investigation as potentially an advantage for the governor?
Exactly how an unarmed man died in Dallas police custody in 2016. Tony Timpa had called police himself because he was having a mental issue, but he was dead by the end
So
of the
pay
encounter.
close attention to that.
What
What you are seeing, this hostile action from Trump, where they are trying to go after organizations and they're trying to go after other people, that is a direct response to the release of the Epstein files. I'm not going to go after my friends and my business buddies, the Epstein class, so I'm going to go after other people.
And it still didn't last very long in the mainstream.
It's ridiculous when you think about it.
And so we're still trying to learn more, but they're definitely under scrutiny at this point.
All right, Bob, you've spoken to Governor Newsom quite a bit.
It has that attitude in it. It's like she doesn't need the volume.
He could be potentially running for president of the United States. Are some in Washington seeing this DOJ investigation as potentially an advantage for the governor?
At this point, Governor Newsom and his allies are a bit on edge because this is such an unpredictable situation. But the governor did sit down with me and CBS Sunday Morning last year and said he is going to think seriously about running for the Democratic nomination once the midterm elections are over later this year. And he is considered by many donors and party operatives as one of the front runners potentially in that Democratic race. But this creates a real moment, a variable politically for him as he moves closer to that decision.
On the table for Vicky. She was going to get justice no matter how long it took. So Anthony's family appealed the ruling, and the case eventually made it before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals about a year later.
A federal appeals court says 4 Dallas police officers are not protected from liability for the 2016 death of a man who's in their custody. Tony Timpa was in a prone position and subdued by Dallas police officers for more than 14 minutes. The appeals court says he was no longer resisting after 9 minutes and that the continued use of force was not only excessive, but ultimately deadly.
So in a huge victory for the Timpa family, the Fifth Circuit reversed the lower court's decision and ruled that the officers were not entitled to qualified immunity.
Well, that's a lot of people in class that made the comment. So many similars, pretty much saying, "Wow, we just watched somebody slowly get murdered, begging for help," and he, yeah, I mean, right off the bat too, even before they had to hold him down. I mean, that was almost like a child rolling around. on their back. He was scared of something. He was worried they were going to hurt him. He'd already been mangled by the security guards before they got there, had blood on his knee. Who knows what they did to him, and he was by a curb.
The medical examiner lists the manner of death.
Not that they curb stomped him,
but the
but
cause was due to several factors, including the toxic effects of cocaine.
no, I mean he would
and
have had
stress
marks
associated
on
with
him if
physical
that had
restraint.
happened.
The report allows both sides to make their case on what caused Timpa to die. The defense and court records
Yeah, they
claims
might have been
the
scaring
drugs,
him.
not the
That's what they were
officer's
going to do
actions, are to blame.
if he didn't stop.
After some delays, the trial finally got underway.
Yeah, and it's so
but surprisingly,
sad
the
too,
case
because
only took
usually
10
people
days to
in
come
that,
to a close.
yeah, it seemed like almost just what we saw kind of had ringtones of that, where yeah, violence or doing those kind of things, it's going to scare them. They're going to flail around. Yeah, usually they have restraints, don't they, to be able
The jury
to
awarded Anthony's son $1 million
hold their ankles together.
but nothing to his parents, and they found that 2 of the officers were entitled to qualified immunity.
Right, and if you don't have a strap, you have hands. Right, I mean, if you're strong enough to do that, you're probably strong enough to grab a hold of their legs and try to hold them. I know it's hard. If you've ever done a pig scramble, I know it can be hard hanging on to them suckers. I've done pig scramble.
That's just objectively unfair, and it
Never
left a lot of
again.
people asking questions.
Son of
Shortly
a
after the
bitches.
verdict was announced, 2 of the jurors decided to go to WFA.
I don't want to talk about
and
it.
do a
I don't
broadcast
want to
to
talk about it.
explain how they reached this decision.
We are getting more insight into
At the Windsor Fair,
in the federal trial for Dallas police
back in the
officers accused
80s.
of violating Tony Timpa's constitutional rights. Criminal charges were dropped against those officers, but in a civil trial in federal court last week, the jury found 3 of those officers did violate Timpa's rights.
Oh yes, we always saw people from all over the world. All over the world. They'd come to go to the horse races.
How they felt about it.
Yeah, they used to have the different shows would come there and perform, singers. What was the name of those car guys? They would come and do the car stunts.
That the Dallas Police Department will look at that and hold their officers accountable.
Now, although the
Chip
case had gone to trial, the
something.
legal battle wasn't over just
can't
yet.
remember
The jury
what it
verdict in September of 23 did not
I can't
end the
remember.
case. All it did was resolve the questions that were put to that jury under very specific instructions for very specific plaintiffs. Once the verdict came back, the lawsuit immediately entered a post-trial phase, which can be just as consequential as the trial itself. At that point, the case shifted from a jury question
But yeah,
to
to
a
just
risk
kind of
management
just get them
and
restrained, let them
settlement
tire
question.
themselves
With the
out,
jury
stand
already having
back.
found constitutional
I mean,
violation,
he was
the city
handcuffed
was
already,
facing the
right? Yeah, he
prospect
was
of continued litigation,
Yeah,
potential
somehow
appellate
just
rulings, and
hold
the
their
very
legs
real
together or
possibility
something,
of
let them
further
tire
financial
themselves out.
liability. Rather than
Or stand
rolling the
back,
dice
let them
in the
roll
next
around
phase,
on the
the city
ground
of Dallas entered settlement
for a
negotiations
minute,
with the
tire
remaining
themselves
plaintiffs.
out.
Dallas City Council approved the $2.5 million
In that situation, those would have been a few other options, yeah. Right, so I mean, some people in class, there were quite a few comments along the lines of, they just watched that poor man slowly. I know, I'm choking it down, dude. Up, out, whatever.
Suffering were valued at $3.5
I know, it's like you
Like
gotta
I
hold
said
something
other
in and get
videos,
something
I like
out
to tell
at the
these
same
stories so
time.
that they re-enter our
We
collective
don't have
conscience
to.
every once in a while and remind
But
us
anyways, yeah,
not
they're
only
saying
of
they
the
just
victims
watched
who
that
have
man
suffered
slowly
at
get
the hands of
murdered
police
while
misconduct,
he could
but also
probably
the
hear them
common
just
threads
standing
that we
around
tend
and
to see
joking and
in these
laughing.
cases. For me, this case really
I
illustrates how long
just the thought of that
and
alone,
arduous
right?
the
I mean,
journey
it
to
just
closure
kind of
can
takes your
be in
breath away,
situations
huh?
like this. For someone like Vicky,
Take my
time
breath
is not a matter of
away.
due process. For months, she woke up every day knowing
Against
that her
Progressive
son
Democrat
had
Graham
passed away
Plattner,
in a
a
state of
Marine
terror.
Corps veteran
Was
and
told
oyster
over
farmer
and
who has
over
faced a
again
flurry
that
of
she wasn't allowed
controversies.
to see
Early
it
in the
for herself.
campaign, it
The
was
time
uncovered that he
between
got a
the tragedy
tattoo
at
in
the hands of a
2007
government
with
actor
Nazi
and the
imagery, which
resolution
he's since
of
covered
those
up.
actions
Just
is
a week
a
before the
dark
primary,
void
Plattner
for
admitted
many
to new
people that is
revelations that he
difficult
sent
to
sexual
escape
texts
on
to
top of
multiple
dealing with
women
the grief
early in
and
his marriage.
trauma
You
of
have my back.
misconduct.
Plattner has
Victims
been
have to
defiant
endure
in the
years
lead up to the
of
primary,
red tape,
saying he's staying in the
undue
race.
scrutiny,
The
and
economy's
endless
very
paperwork to
And
seek
from a hot dog
justice.
joint
While
in a
they're
red
doing that,
county
they
to
still
a hot
have to
dog
go to
stand
work,
in a
pay
blue
their
one
bills,
here in the
feed their
Democratic
kids,
stronghold of
and
Portland.
ensure that their
Voters told us
social
about their
and family
biggest
lives
issues.
don't
I
just
get
completely
people with my
fall
stand.
apart. Now, the
Some people
American
believe
judicial
it's
system is
75 to buy a
designed
hot
to
dog.
move slow on purpose. It is supposed to be a
really
function
hard to find
of
housing.
protecting the
I don't know why we're not building
ensuring
more
that
housing.
accuracy
And another
is
big race will be in
maintained, and
Maine's
that
2nd
rash decisions
district,
are
where
avoided.
Democrat
But we're having
Congressman
to
Jared
maintain
Golden
normal
is
life
not
while
running for
continuing
re-election
the
after 4
psychological and
terms.
physical
4
damage
candidates are
of
vying
the
to
bad
replace him on the
interaction.
Democratic
This
side,
process can
while a
feel much more
2-term
like a
former
governor, Paula Page, is running unopposed on the Republican side. There are also crowded primaries in the race for governor, where a whopping 12 candidates are vying for the state's top job. Reporting here in Portland, I'm Evan Kozlov.
And take it one day at a time. And getting over something like this is almost impossible when the system itself is keeping you suspended in place for years on end. This case and many others add true color to the old saying that courts are places where the law catches up to life, often long after the damage has already been done. If you made it to the end of this video, then thank you very much for sticking around. The longer you watch these videos, the more likely they are to be shown to more people, so it really helps the channel grow when you stick around.
Will Iran try to break out to a nuclear bomb in the next 2 months?
Taking the time to dedicate a few clicks.
And what about the nuclear material?
Again, thank you for being
Is the
here.
United
That's all I got for you
States
today,
and
folks. I'll see you in
Iran
the next
deal
one. Cheers.
about to become a reality, or is this just another trap? The CIA is issuing an important warning. The memorandum with Iran could be a trap. 3 explosions were heard in the area of the Strait of Hormuz. Are these sounds of the strait opening or the sound of a return to the fighting? The head of the CIA presented President Trump with an intelligence assessment that cast doubts on Tehran's true intentions. And at the same time, disagreements inside the American administration are growing around this emerging agreement. The agreement with Iran, the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and the lifting of the naval blockade have left quite a few open questions, mainly around the return of regular oil supply, which has been disrupted since the end of February, and around the fate of Iran's nuclear program. So what happens now? We will bring you all the details. Trump said explicitly, the claim that we will pay Iran $300 billion is false. Iran promised that it will not have nuclear weapons. End quote. And meanwhile, after a long disappearance, the commander of the Quds forces of the Revolutionary Guards in Iran appeared in a rare interview and said, "No one will stand against us." Trump trembled with fear. End quote. So, did Trump fall into an Iranian trap? Is this one big show in which the Revolutionary Guards are buying time and money from the United States? And contrary to the statements, Trump gave the green light to the Iran-Qatar deal. What does that mean? We will bring you all the details. So, is this